if you look at the history of AI, it went through a very low period where people almost gave up in research simply because they didn't have the computer power to cope with the vast databases that are needed for what is called machine learning, deep learning, which is behind things like GPT-4, which is so very impressive these days. They nearly gave up, but some people persevered. But no, I don't think there's any question of a mind there. And I would want to argue, I'm very sympathetic to the views of one of the most brilliant mathematicians in the world, who's in my own University of Oxford, Sir Roger Penrose, who just won the Nobel Prize recently, when he argues that the human mind, although of course it has certain things in common with a computer, it can compute, it can do things that no computer, past, present, or future, can do. Now that's a very complex argument. It has to do with a universal computer invented by the genius Alan Turing, called a Turing machine. And Penrose argues that there are certain things in mathematics that humans can do that machines will never be able to do, so that you cannot reduce the human mind to a computer. And if I may say so, there are two attempts to dehumanize human beings. The one is to say humans are nothing but animals, nothing but biological phenomena, and the other is to say they're nothing but computers. The brain is a computer made of meat, I quote. I reject both of those, because what I want to argue is human beings are absolutely unique, made in the image of God. And the great danger is, if scientists begin to play God, as Harari suggests, we'll end up in the dystopia that C.S. Lewis foresaw years and years ago in 1940, where the germline, he didn't use those terms, but that's what it amounts to. The genetic base of humanity is changed and all future generations are modified. And Lewis made the point that if that happens, then what's going to be produced are not human beings, they're artifacts. And he has this chilling statement, which forms the title of his book. He said, the final triumph of humanity, or of man, will be the abolition of man, in that sense. And I share that sentiment, that we need to be very careful indeed. I also am very skeptical about Harari's major agenda items for this current 21st century. You're probably aware of those.
What are those? Because I think our listeners would really benefit from hearing what a secular a materialist thinker foresees for the future, someone with a very transhumanist bent.
Well, there are two items, and Harari's book Homo Deus, Latin for the God-man, or the man who is God, or the man-God, is, well, it reveals a great deal, because he thinks that in this century we will concentrate on solving two problems. First of all, solving the problem of physical death, and he regards that as a technical problem that will be solved by advanced medicine. So we'll be able to live forever, although we won't have to, as he puts it. Human beings may die, but they don't have to die. That's the first agenda item. And then the second one related to it is to enhance human happiness by genetic engineering, by the use of drugs, by the use of cyborg technologies, merging humans with machines, and all the rest of it. So you've got those two items. And just to cut to the heart of it, when people tell me about this program, I smile at them and I said, you're too late. And they look at me quizzically and they say, what do you mean? We're too late. We haven't got there yet. I said, exactly. You're too late, because the problem of physical death was solved actually 20 centuries ago when God raised Jesus Christ from the dead.